like the ship to go. Now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to George's Party, where instead of reading, we just throw the books away and party in lunar craters. And with me to talk this out as we discuss the autobiography of Benjamin Sisko is none other than Jonathan Shorts. How you doing, man?
I am doing good, man. Doing good. Blessed and highly favored. Man, I'm just ready to talk about these couple of chapters. It was, as you commented earlier in our chat, it was a pretty thick couple of chapters, but I'm glad we kind of got this story into this autobiography. So excited to talk about that. Other than that, man, doing well. How about yourself?
Doing great, man. Happy to be on to talk more about this. You know, I'm noticing we're getting further and further toward the end of this book. So looks like we might not have many more of these discussions left until we pivot to another book if we want to. But yeah, just continuing to enjoy this. And we kind of get some of the moments I've been waiting for in these two chapters here, chapters 15 and 16. Of course, as I mentioned up top, we're talking about the autobiography of Benjamin Sisko, written by Derek Tyler Attico, written by Jake, told by Benjamin. But yeah, chapter 15, labeled First Sight, or I'm going to call it Putting It All Together. Because lo and behold, we come back around to Mr. George McCrae, a.k.a. Barber, a.k.a. Party Thrower, a.k.a. DJ. And whoa. Tell me what you think about Sisko befriending George and also kind of participating in these crater parties. What do you think about these crater parties?
I think they're awesome. Maybe that's Elon's ultimate goal. You know, he wants to do a base on the moon, supposedly. It's just going to be crater parties all the time. And he has a ship that he says can come back and refuel and take off again in a few hours. So, hey, man, it's a high-end rich man's party. I love the idea. Now, leaving your life in the hands of some technology to keep you from suffocating and dying, I don't know. That's a different story. But I love that idea. Now, as far as Sisko being involved, shocker. Very much so.
Yeah, very much a shocker.
Well, also a shocker that George is the one doing it.
Well, we know that George has been throwing these parties. When Sisko first meets him in the barbershop, the best barber in the barbershop, we are told that he throws these parties. But the technicality or the technical aspect around throwing these parties, I wouldn't think that George would be able to pull it off.
Right.
You know, let's secure this crater on some moon surrounding some popular planet. Let's set up an atmosphere, beam in DJ equipment, food, all the other stuff you need to throw a party. So, yeah, good on George for being able to pull this off. And I think, you know, just creative here for Mr. Attico to come up with this concept of these crater parties. I think that's really cool.
And he did it with permission from Starfleet.
Yes. And I would be, well, not remiss, but I couldn't help but to think about the current person, music mogul that's currently in jail that is known for throwing these renowned white parties.
No diddy.
Yeah. No freak offs here, man.
Oh God!
But yeah, I had to think of that when I was thinking about these parties that George throws. And the name George, I wish I would have, and I needed to go back to watch that scene, and I won't mention it now, but you know the scene I'm talking about. If George was actually mentioned in that original scene, and if he was, he probably was. Good on Mr. Attico for seeding that to me, because I never put that together.
I went back and watched that scene, and it's almost word for word.
Oh man. Oh, George.
There's a small.
We want to get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah. We'll get to that. I kind of skipped ahead a little bit, but let's go ahead and finish out this crater party thing. And Ben just sees this girl, the most beautiful girl in the world, and she's just floating around having a good time. And Benjamin sees her, and once again, he is smitten
in the magnificent cobalt blue.
Yes. And have we not been the guy, if we saw this beautiful girl talk to somebody we know, we run up and be like, hey, who was that? Who was that girl you were just talking to? And of course, Benjamin does the same with George. Any additional thoughts about the party before we kind of go to Gilgo Beach?
Well, did you think this is who this was going to be when he mentioned this girl? Did that ever occur to you that might be?
No, I did not, man, because I didn't put the connection of George being the person he was talking to. I mean, he mentioned on the beach, so that totally eluded me. So the fact that this beautiful girl was just leaping around, dancing her heart out, the life of the party.
Right.
I admit I kind of thought that it could be her, but at this point I was a little bit unsure. I know we were getting kind of further in his age that it had to be happening soon, but yeah, it totally. I was kind of shocked a little bit.
Well, based on what we've learned so far, I mean, I won't fault you for that, because who knows? This could have been another 2 or 3 month fling for Mr. Sisko. He was making that a regular thing here.
But yeah, man, he was kind of making these heartbreak hotels be a one of his things. But certainly now, knowing that when he went and asked George what that girl's name was, it was Jennifer, and I was like, oh boy, we're in it. But again, me just being kind of dumb here, I didn't think we would immediately go the next day to Gilgo Beach.
Yeah. Well, before you go there, I just want to point out one more thing, though, and maybe this was not your college, high school scenario, but it's definitely mine. Benjamin was invited to come to this party with George. He's thinking, I'll help you out, maybe carry drinks, help you set up. Come to find out, he was just the 24/7 tech guy to keep the party going and never got to enjoy the party. And I can remember in high school, in my early college, like a lot of times I was invited to things thinking I was going to have fun, but there was an ulterior motive. Just like I remember being invited to Bourbon Street for a bachelor party with the buddies. I didn't realize I was the designated driver.
Oh, God. Oh, man.
So I kind of felt for being in this moment, and then you're running into the girl of your dreams and you're not even able to participate in the party with her.
Yeah, we didn't even mention that Benjamin has in his befriending George, he is on off time because he's graduated. He hasn't been assigned yet. So he's just kind of chilling with George and going to his parties, and he's volunteered to take care of the atmosphere for this crater party on the moon. And, like you just said, he's going to think he's going to have a good time, but he's balancing atmosphere and ratios of oxygen and nitrogen in the air the entire time. So yeah, that sucks. That sucks.
It
man.
does.
I can't say that I've ever been the person that had to do that, but I can feel his pain for sure. Yeah, and after the nearly opportunity lost, the next day Benjamin is sulking and he goes out with Calvin Hudson, Cal, and Giselle Mariano to Gilgo Beach. How soon did you know that we may be reliving that scene? Because we've talked about this scene before when we've been reviewing this.
Listen, it's one of the few times we see the character Benjamin Sisko out of character, right? Like, this scene is a scene that you see reactions and things from Benjamin Sisko you just would never see in any other situation. To answer your question, it didn't really occur to me because in the original scene, Cal was never mentioned. Right. So, and we'll get to that eventually. So that's kind of what threw me off. Like, he was the original scene that we know, it was just him on the beach. But until they said he kicked sand on a girl, then that's when it popped. I was like, now I know where we're going.
Yeah. I have to say, I really loved how Cal kind of gave Ben the look like, we're here with this other beautiful girl, get lost.
Right.
And it sends him into the lemonade scene because he's like holding the lemonades when this all kind of takes place.
So are you thinking that Cal was interested in the other girl? I took it as he was trying to connect Benjamin.
Ben mentions that he originally had somewhat a connection with the Giselle, but it didn't kind of work out because they were in different departments or whatever. But I got that Cal was telling him, get lost because I'm trying to hit on this beautiful girl right here. That's what I got out of it. Is that not, you said it's not what you.
No, I took it a completely opposite. So I felt like it was, Cal was kind of trying to help him get over this missed opportunity by saying, here's a beautiful woman, a beautiful girl that you need to be taking, hint, hint. And Benjamin decided to go get Lemonade because he didn't want to approach that situation with her.
Possibly. I saw it definitely differently. We can go back and read up on it and kind of come to a consensus. But yeah, that chance meeting with Jennifer Richardson, the Federation oceanographer. Now that's another part that may have been mentioned before, but I didn't know about her being an oceanographer, which I thought was really cool.
No, I didn't either. That came as a shock. What I appreciate that Mr. Attico did here is give us some, and actually for a lot of this, we're getting a lot of backstory to questions. I mean, and Jennifer wasn't actually a very big part of DS9 physically, visually, but there was a lot of Jennifer undertones throughout the series. And all we knew of was this beach scene and unfortunately her death scene. So to get some background to it makes it, I loved getting that. I love getting that.
Yeah, I just really appreciate, seeing this scene from a different point of view, like halfway seeing it play out like we already knew it would play out, but then also getting an extended version of that, getting more data about that interaction, getting the fact that she, of course, Ben asked her out and she says, your mother, when he says your mother's going to adore me, we immediately, when he actually goes to see the parents, which she lives on Mars.
Yes.
Dad, a teacher. But the mother actually, says that I adore you, which I thought was just great.
It was, and we've said this before on another podcast we've done, and it's just, can we give props to Sisko for his ability of game in this situation with Jennifer?
Yeah.
Like, she's like, you use this line. I bet you use this line all the time. He said, I never have and I never will. I'm like, man, how much confidence do you have to use that? And then again, like you mentioned, he said, your mother will adore me. Like, what guy says that?
Yeah. But that definitely gets me in the mode of saying, okay, the Sisko lives a nonlinear existence. We see where when he enters the wormhole, if I remember correctly, he relives this scene.
Right.
So how much of this was his original? And it breaks my brain even thinking about it, because he mentions that your mother's going to adore me. Was that what he originally said, or did he say that because he knew that she would say, I adore you, or you're adorable? How much of that was the original? It's breaking my brain right now to even think about it. How much that was original interaction, or how much was his future knowledge playing into the scene that we saw?
I was excited to talk about this because I actually went back and watched this episode. The reason I can tell you it was word for word because I was trying to figure out that exact thing. Like, what was caused by what? And from a lot of podcasts we've done together, I hate the time episodes. And I just do. I would love to have Cal here so he could give us the whole timey-wimey thing. But you know what? When I say it was word, a couple of things changed. And it depends on what you've watched or read first. If you read this book first, it's like he's kind of dismissive. Like she said, do I know you? And he kind of just dismisses it as, you know what, I'm not even going to worry about talking about that. No need to going into it. But on the episode, he's approaching her as if like it's a blast from his past. Like, oh, it's Jennifer again. Yeah. And then she said, wait, do I know you? So of course he can't say, no, I traveled back in time. So he just has to go to the next subject. So now here I am thinking, originally, was that because of the future or the passed, or
it could be because of the crater part. Honestly, when I read it the first time, yeah, I just felt like it was because of the crater party. He saw her, he asked George about her, so therefore he knew her name. When he goes and says her name, he really kind of knows her at that point. You know, that's still the truth in that moment.
Yeah, but if you watch the episode, when he kicks the sand on her and she says, "Excuse me," or "Hey," or whatever, and he bends down and he realizes it's Jennifer, he says, and I forget the exact quote, but he says, "I can't believe this is happening." Like, he's like, you can tell he's talking from a point of, I get to see my wife again. It wasn't the excitement of, "Hey, you're the girl from the party last night." It was the excitement of, I get to see my wife again.
But do you know it is? Because we get from this scene that he was sulking. He was in the dumps because he had lost the most beautiful girl in the world. And she just beamed out at the end of the party. He never got that chance. So I think I would have that same enthusiasm. Like, oh, she's talking to me. I could see myself having that same enthusiasm, but I do get your point. I don't know which way I truly feel about it, but I do get your point.
When's the last time you watched that episode?
I watched it earlier this year because I went and pulled a clip out of it from one of our shows.
Go back and watch it tonight and tomorrow, and then we're going to talk about it again. I guarantee you're going to realize it's totally different.
Okay. That's fair.
But yeah, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out the if-when scenario with this. And honestly, I'm no better off than I started. So,
hey!
Okay, let's watch it real quick. I got it. Hold on, let me share my screen. Can you hear the audio?
Jen?
Now I can hear it.
Yes?
That's what he's saying. And I was such a horny guy when I saw this
I'm sorry.
first.
Did we meet last night at George's party?
Look, right there.
George?
Right there.
Wait a minute. This is impossible.
Okay,
Are you
okay, I get it.
I know this place. This is Gilgo
yeah,
Beach.
you're right.
Where we
You're
met.
right. You're totally right.
We met here before?
Yeah, you're right.
I was carrying
3
lemonades.
Okay, I get it.
The sand was burning my feet.
Whoa!
And I stopped here.
Ow!
Do you realize?
Okay. We can continue the conversation. And John, you're totally right. Totally 100% right. In that scene, he addresses the fact that, you know, we've done this before and all the other good stuff. So I have to give you props there, sir. You're totally right on that one.
It's just, but I mean, it still leaves us with what came chicken and egg scenario.
Yeah. But in this sense, at the very first beginning of it, we clearly see him saying that, you know, we've done this before. You know? So, yeah, I have to give it to you on that one because in my mind, I saw it as all being the same exact scene. So, but still good on Mr. Attico for tying it in, man. It's woo!
And being brave enough to do so. Can you imagine reproducing something that is already kind of timey-wimey, or like, and then put that in your book and still trying to maintain canon, but adding to, and that, man, I think, and I'm no author, but I would think most authors would just bypass that altogether just to avoid the complications.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely sets itself apart because you think of other novelizations of movies, like a lot of the Star Wars movies gets novelizations. Even some of the Star Trek episodes in movies get novelizations where they do go in and fill in the gaps. But as you just stated, it's so much of a more difficult situation here is because we're going back to see the original event.
Right.
With the knowledge of his reliving the event. And, you know, just well done. Well done, because it had me hook, line, and sinker 100%. So, yeah, good on you, Mr. Attico.
Yes, sir.
So, next we see that Jennifer and Ben go free diving. I guess her experience as an oceanographer, involves a lot of free diving. Not much really to say there. I thought it was an interesting scene. And I think mainly seeing Ben out of his element, was the main thing about it. So I really enjoyed that scene for what it was. What did you think about the free diving scene? And we can even get into the baseball game, or we can fast forward to the proposal if you want to get into that.
I'm with you. I mean, it's not a whole lot like just mind blowing in this, but I think a lot of this was just, like I said earlier, giving us a backstory on Jennifer and oh Lord, I'm about to say Jennifer and Benjamin's. Jennifer,
that's their couple name, Bennifer.
But I mean, it gives us that backstory we were looking for, because I mean, we know how attached he was to her, and now Mr. Attico has introduced us to other romantic interests that he's had that he at the time thought this was the one. So for us to think about, okay, what was Jennifer more than the others? Like, what did we already see kind of what he was interested in at the time? Like, man, what led you to Jennifer? Like, through all of the love and loss you've gone through, where did Jennifer come from, and how did she make such an impact on you? And I think we get to see this, and a lot of that is done through these free diving sessions. Like I said, it's not much groundbreaking, but it is kind of setting the scene, if you say, or giving you a context on who Jennifer was.
Yeah, and it's also her exploring her own strange new world. And I think Benjamin really appreciates that she has her own like type of exploration bug, but it doesn't involve going into space. It's here in the oceans of Earth.
A key point to this is, in his previous relationships, they've also had separate interests, although maybe aligned with Starfleet more than Jennifer's, but they've also been separate. But in each instance, they thought it was best if they parted so they could work on their interests separately. I think Jennifer was the first one to say, hey, let's include our interest in each other's lives. Let's both be part of our interests. We can still approach them separately. But hey, you come see what's so interesting to me, what I love, be a part of that. And I think that's what did it for him.
Yeah, we took a brief detour when he takes Jennifer to the baseball game with the Siskos. And what I got from that the most was one of his siblings is still hurting from Ben going back to Starfleet after their mother died. Elias is they're kind of estranged at this point. And he has a conversation with David, that kind of makes him feel a little bit better. But yeah, it's still kind of, still heartbreaking the Sisko household. I get. But we do see Jennifer is fitting in well with the family. So that's pretty cool.
And Dad loves Jennifer as well. So that's a great thing. And I think he even mentions that it's a different kind of attachment. Like, Dad didn't have a problem with the others, but Jennifer was like immediately brought in like family.
And then we get to see the proposal, Ben being nervous about the backpack. And, this was another one of those scenes when I have to kind of just rack my brain a little bit to try to draw the picture of what actually happened in my head. They go on a free dive. He pulls out his little gadget that expands a force field and then pumps in oxygen, breathable air, and he's able to propose to her on the ocean floor.
Yeah.
Is that kind of...
That's kind of how I took it. That's how I took it. But, kudos. This is a great idea. But now if you want to kind of take a more, I don't want to say sinister look, but a more conniving thing. I mean, if just put yourself in her position. You're at the bottom of the ocean. You don't have much air left. This guy puts you in a bubble and then proposes to you. Well, you got to think, if I say no, what happens?
What am I going to do? It's like taking me to the top of the mountain to propose. Like,
right.
What's going to happen?
No. Better say yes if I want to survive.
Yeah, but I thought it was sweet. I thought it was cute. And then Ben gets sort of this vision of you kind of, I love this because I love this vision because it kind of fast forwards to kind of gives us an accelerated picture of things that's going on. We see Jake's birth. He re-experiences Jake's birth with his birth mother, Sarah, along, and he tells her, this is kind of like your grandson here. And it was cool that he got to experience that with her through reliving the non-linear existence flashback, I guess. Really cool stuff there.
And I feel like this is about to go into this whole, the next few chapters I think are going to be kind of more in with the emissary and the whole non-linear lifetime that he's living now, kind of a current, giving Jake an update on his current situation and what life is like. What I worry about that, again, I hate time stuff. I think these chapters are going to be one of those you're going to have to read a couple of times because I feel like you're going to lose your place in it. And there's a few times throughout these 2 chapters where we jumped time scene and you kind of had to take a pause, a step back to kind of gather yourself of where are we going, where do we come from type situations. And if we get mixed up with emissaries and prophets, that's going to be 10 times. So I'm excited and I'm worried.
Yeah, like the replay of that meeting already hurt my brain.
Oh, but it's good.
So well, let me ask you, let me ask you this then. So maybe I should have thought of this and instantly knew it would be a little bit different. So the visions that he has while in the wormhole, or even this vision with Sarah here, aren't considered him going back to that point of view. It's just a reliving of the vision or the thing that's already happened. It's not like they're there for real, or is it?
In that particular scene, I don't know. It sounded like he was there for real. But if we looked at other episodes on DS9 where he's had these visions, he's been kind of the third person.
Yeah.
Explaining to the prophets. But this is a key difference here. That episode on the beach, you know how he didn't relive that through the prophets. Well, kind of. Yeah, I guess he did. But that was Kaiopaka and an orb experience. So I don't know that he was technically there physically. I don't know, man. I don't know.
My brain hurts. I'm sure somebody's going to chime in the chat and tell us what it really is. But my brain hurts, man. I got to go back and watch DS9. Let's get into chapter 16, Dax. Now, before we get into it, let me say this was as much as I was happy about what they did in chapter 15 with First Sight and Jennifer and all things coming together. That's kind of what I say. With 16, I expected a little bit more out of it.
Really?
Because the relationship with Benjamin and Dax feels so legendary, and it feels like it's a lot longer than and I guess we don't know how long it goes in this chapter. We just get a snippet of it, but it feels like it's a lot more impactful than what we get in chapter 16. What did you think about it?
And maybe if we do get more in the following chapters, I'm all for it. But remember, I said I loved what we did in the previous chapter, chapter 15, with Jennifer, because we do not get a whole lot of the past of Jennifer. As far as Dax, I mean, we get flashbacks and stories about Curzon, Dax, and Ben Sisko throughout the series. Even with Jadzia going back and reliving when I forgot the ritual she did where she had to give all of her hosts a certain amount of time to inhabit her. I forgot how it worked out. But, there's a good amount of time where Curzon kind of became Odo. And you remember that. And we kind of talked a lot about stories. So we got a lot of Curzon. I feel like that was something could have easily been overdone. I don't know There's only so much backstory you can put in before you start, I feel like, making issues in canon. But I mean, I could be wrong. I'm sure there's something else that we can talk about on Curzon, but I thought it was done well.
Yeah, I definitely think it, as much as I thought, I just wanted more. I don't know why, but I definitely feel like it did lay some of the good groundwork about how they met. Benjamin, his first assignment is on Berlin Station on Luna. And we learned that he's there for 5 years, and he and Jennifer kind of have time to be newlyweds and get to know each other more and start their family. And Jennifer gets to keep her oceanographer job on Earth because they're on the moon. It's so close. So I thought all of that was really cool and interesting. But Ben gets orders to go to Paleo Station and escort Ambassador Curzon Dax to the USS Livingston. And then it's kind of where the relationship starts. A few observations. I guess the first one would be that Jennifer thinks of Curzon as a dirty old man, which I don't know if I ever really got that from.
No,
I think we knew that he was a ladies' man from DS9, right? But I don't think I ever got dirty old man from.
I don't know. I kind of did. Again, we go to that. We go to the couple of episodes where we get to see him in one form or another, and he's made some comments and gestures with some of the female crew, and I mean, you could get dirty old man, and here's the difference. It's kind of a social problem, right? If a 20-year-old, 30-year-old says the things he's saying, then you just a player type, maybe a little kinky type guy, you know what I mean? But if you're a 60-year-old man, you're a dirty old man. So I don't think he did anything outside of it. It's just his age made him dirty old man. And he liked younger women, and he said so in the series as well.
He's living like he's 20, but he's not. So great point there. And I guess I also loved how Benjamin immediately gained his respect, whereas they had this mission to rendezvous with the USS Livingston, and Curzon is like, "Hey, I'm an ambassador. I'm old. I can do whatever I want to." and Benjamin goes to his apartment, packs all his things, and as soon as he gets back from his little rendezvous trip. I forgot where he went, but he went on a trip whereas he was supposed to be going to Livingston, he kind of went off and did his own thing. But as soon as he got back, Benjamin was waiting for him. And I think Curzon really respected Ben being so, I guess, driven by the system to follow orders. He's like, no, bro, we leaving.
And, I did pick up on this. And I mean, I think it was mentioned that Starfleet's ordered him to work with Curzon a few times before this meeting. But you kind of know Benjamin already knew what he had to do, because if you remember, he walked into Curzon's office while Curzon was on the phone, and he immediately started making a list of all the things that was in his office. So he already knew what he was going to have to do. I mean, he was going to play the part, but he already knew what he was going to have to do to get. So he obviously knew Curzon was going to be difficult at this point.
And I guess some of the things I was looking for, we did get in here. I just kind of, I guess it didn't, I don't know. We did get some of the stuff I was looking for, but I don't think it really sat that deeply with me, because there are several paragraphs where they talk about Curzon as an ambassador and how Ben learns a lot of diplomacy values and stuff from Curzon. So that's really cool that, he got that political side, that ambassadorship side, that diplomacy side from Curzon. And, that's some of the stuff that we see that he uses later on in his life. But yeah, we did get some of that in the chapter, but it just wasn't a lot of it. So, I still think it was good.
Maybe it'll be better. Maybe it'll be a good idea, Mr. Attico, if you're listening. Can we get a Curzon short story or book? It was just the Curzon years, the autobiography of Curzon Dax.
Curzon years. Or just Dax.
Just Dax.
That would be a huge undertaking. That would be a huge undertaking.
Yeah, we won't see that book for about 15, 20 years.
Oh, and I did want to mention, I hope we see something like, maybe not something exactly like this, but if we see somebody that recently graduated in the Starfleet Academy show, to maybe see somebody get assigned to an ambassador. We've seen officers assigned to ambassadors before. So yeah, more of that I think I'd be really appreciate. I even would appreciate the idea of these crater parties or something, or the equivalent in Strange New Worlds as well. I think it would be really cool.
Yes. So checklists for future Trek we want to see, things we want to see. So it's going to be a crater party. We want to see that live. We want to see some more of Curzon Dax. And we got to see a Parisi Squares game.
Oh, definitely. We have to see it in live action for sure. But Ben runs into a few problems on Quailor 2, where, Curzon is once again rendezvousing with a lady friend, Acacian, of course. And he kind of gets promoted by saving Curzon and his lady friend, and actually having to take on Acacian one-on-one, which I didn't think he had a chance in Hades, which, I guess they didn't really say what happened after.
He took on 3.
Wait, was it 3?
Yes.
Did I totally missed that?
Yes.
Was it 3 of them?
He grabbed one, punched at him, he threw off, the other one was sunk his claws into him, and it was 3 of them.
You're right. So I'm assuming as soon as Curzon and his lady friend got beamed to, I guess, the orbiting space station or the Livingston, I don't know which, that they immediately sent security back down that kind of helped Ben. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't remember it was 3 of them, but yeah, the fact that he survived it all is a miracle unto itself. Seriously.
Hey, and he had a little combat experience, which we've seen it in DS9 that he could handle himself, but even at this early stage, he understood, throwing people off balance, and it's almost, I guess, judo, I think is what that is, Aikido, whatever it is, about shifting balance. So I did love, kudos for doing a decent or good fight scene in a book.
Yeah, 100%. And with that, of course, as I mentioned, Benjamin gets promoted over this to lieutenant, which I think is really cool. And it kind of ends off with him waxing poetically about Dax and telling Jake, look, you need these type of people in your life. And he says there's a stability that the people you love bring with them. And he is encouraging him to go and befriend Ezri and get it and form his own relationship with her. Didn't he like her at one point? Am I remembering that correctly?
He did. I think he did. Yes. I think he kind of had a spat between Bashir. I think he and Bashir were kind of interested in her for a short time.
Yeah.
So I do like that and I don't remember the exact wording, and maybe you don't, but he kind of broke down the differences between Curzon Dax, Jadzia, and Ezri. And, kind of, and I forgot the exact words, but I guess to sum it up, Ezri was not taking the Dax symbiont. It wasn't primary. She was focused on, I don't know the exact wordings, but I loved it. And the reason I loved it because, and again, we've mentioned before, I wasn't a big fan of Ezri. She wasn't a problem, but you get so tied into Jadzia. But Jadzia had a little bit of Curzon but Ezri is her own person that just so happened has a Dax symbiont, but you would never know it. Right. And so I like that, we're giving a prop to Ezri because she came in so late in the season. It wasn't a whole lot to build her up. We knew it had to be completely different from Jadzia or it wouldn't have worked. Now, I think the way they made her different probably didn't work well in the story for some fans. But I'm glad that Mr. Attico is kind of giving her a boost there, or a backstory, or a silver lining, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, definitely a nod to Ezri. And as you said, just to reiterate kind of a little bit, in the book, he mentions of how it was so natural with Jadzia that so much of Curzon was in her that, the old men thing, which he mentions where the old man thing comes from in this chapter as well.
That was good.
But how that just kind of stuck and they kept with it, even with Jadzia. And it was kind of just like a continuation, felt like an old friend with Jadzia. But with Ezra, it was more Ezri, as you mentioned, she was, I guess her personality was stronger and it came through more than the Dax symbiote.
Right.
So yeah, just a great explanation. And like you said, that's just shining a little bit more light on Ezri because she was not loved when she first came on DS9. So I totally get that. Yeah, and I think, if I remember correctly, I wasn't ever watching as they aired until like the last 2 seasons of DS9. It was so hard to find them for me when they were airing at the time, way back in the 90s. But I remember watching at least I know the last season for sure as it aired, and I remember being completely sad when it was over. But anywho.
Yeah. Well, I kind of did. I came into DS9 very late. So my first experience with DS9 was on a DVD box set. So, of course, I blew through that. And, man, to take that much DS9 in a short amount of time, and then we get to the death of Jadzia and then the ending of DS9, really, I don't know. I guess I don't know how to measure. I guess if you've been waiting week after week for years as the air, I mean, I guess it could be very devastating. But on the same thing, if you're binge watching it all the way through, you've dedicated a lot of time to it, and you're getting to watch one after another. The story is very connected. And then that ending, that hurts, man. Yeah.
Kudos to the writers and stuff, because it still holds up beautifully.
Absolutely.
I don't have much else to say about this chapter. I think we kind of ended it off just very, especially in the case of Jennifer Richardson, very endearing chapters. And I guess I like the Dax chapter a little bit more now that we've talked it out. But I was just so enamored by the Jennifer chapter and how it ties in, and I was buying that hook, line, and sinker. But yeah, any final thoughts before we kind of wrap this up, John?
No, man. I think we've done a thorough investigation of this chapter. I think it was a great crater party. I think we got good enjoyment out of it. I just reiterate, I love the fact that we got some more backstory on Jennifer and Benjamin's early years. So that's one thing that I know a lot of fans have wanted throughout the series. So that was great.
Yeah, that was chapter 16. There's 28 chapters, but it looks like we're way more than halfway through the book. So these other chapters are going to be pretty small.
Is it 28?
That's what I just looked up, and it said 28 chapters. So
we got 10 more chapters.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it.
When I got to chapter 17, I didn't even look through it, and I said, "Oh man, we probably got maybe 3 more reviews left."
Yeah, they're going to be short. This is funny. I just saw a redacted page.
What?
Flipping through. It's redacted.
Oh God.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Timey-wimey and redacted.
So, guys, how are you enjoying these chapters? If these chapters are really, really, really small, we may take more than 2 at a time finishing off because, really enjoying this. Hope you guys are enjoying it as well. As always, thank you guys for joining in with us. And, what did we get wrong? Correct us. Send feedback. Hit us up in the chat. We love the interaction. We're not experts here. We're just having fun with the book that we love and with the show that we love. So we appreciate you guys being along. Any other thing before we leave out here, John? Any last words?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I appreciate everybody. And again, thank you, Mr. Derek Attico, for writing this amazing book. We're really enjoying it. Continue on. Curzon Dax, the Dax stories. Let's do it.
You heard it first. All right, guys. See you later.
You've been listening to the Discussing Network. Find out more at discussingnetwork.com.
Can I say that like shut up Wesley? I can just go shut up Clarence?